Welcome back to the channel for another original soundtrack retrospective, this time for Dynasty Warriors 2. As per the previous video, we'll look into the history of the game, then proceed to listening to some music and ranking my top 6 tracks from the game. Oh look, it's Articuno. Better known as Shin Sangoku Moso in Japan, this was the first in the series of crowd combat games, although it was released everywhere else as Dynasty Warriors 2, in some odd way being a successor to the original 1997 fighting game. Not too much of a discrepancy, and certainly not one the nerd would get upset about. It was essentially released as a launch title for the PlayStation 2 in 2000 in Europe and North America, and allowed the developers to test the initial waters of what could be done at the time, predominantly how many combatants could be on the screen at one time, and overcoming fogging, an issue that was masterfully done by Konami with Silent Hills in the PlayStation 1, and by Rockstar with Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, which was then immediately ruined with a horrible re-release. Let's take a quick look at the reviews on this bad boy. Something quite astounding, official PlayStation magazine. I mean, you can take that anyway.
You do seriously surprise me.
Thank you, Chef.
You surprise me to how shit you are.
I hadn't played this game since most probably 2001, but my friend at the time brought it out and we just spent weekends obliterating our way through endless enemies. I loved it. It was mindless old school fun with the odd panic-inducing moment when you suddenly found yourself surrounded. It brings back memories of playing deep into the night, of a much simpler time. Now Dynasty Warriors 2, keep in mind, wasn't a multiplayer game, so you would have to take turns on stages when playing with friends, but it didn't matter, because the game was huge, and most of all, it was just a great deal of fun. To be more thorough in my review for this game, I actually purchased a copy. It felt quite surreal holding a game that's over 2 decades old. Normally when I think of anything that old, I instantly think of NES or SNES, and certainly not PlayStation 2, and it still hurts that the PS1 is considered old.
Emotional damage!
This copy is on a blue disc, which was referred to CD-ROMs, and from recollection the CD-DVD drive would tend to fail first on PlayStation 2, so it was common for these games not to work, and as you can hear, my PlayStation 2 absolutely hates it.
Jesus.
One thing I've got to say is I really appreciate the inner booklet. God, don't you just miss these? The artwork of the characters is actually really cool, and of course it has details about the story, some of the levels in the game, some strategies that you can do, and an items list. Wait, what's that? NANI? A save icon. Like, when I played this game, it appeared and I had no idea what it was, so I was surprised it existed. Looking at this made me nostalgic, so I had a look at some others I had, including this Final Fantasy VII one I got. I got this second hand years ago, and it's funny to think that the girls were probably named after crushes or vice versa, and then you've got Katsith, who was named Cartman.
You should have respected my authority.
I miss these inner booklets, and they remind me of reading them on the drive home when I just purchased a game. Nowadays they just suck. Anyway, I digress. Let's look at the game. As previously mentioned, this was a step away from the one-on-one fighting of the first game, being free roaming and moving away from beat 'em up to hack and slash. The game is based specifically on the conflicts during the Three Kingdoms era in China, a period more commonly romanticised in the Romance of the Three Kingdom novels, which I've read several times over the years, but they're enormous and I can't remember much. There are 8 levels in the game, starting with the now, or at least as far as I'm aware, standard first level against the Yellow Turbans. You will then go into Hulao Gate, then meander through Guandu, Changban, Chibi, Hefei, Yiling, and then finally Wujiang Plains. In regards to the combat, it's fairly basic. Playing this again, I actually really enjoyed the first level, racking up nearly 1000 KOs. However, as I progressed through the game, I quickly became aware that the 4 combo attack was all you had. Although I played 2, 3 and 4 religiously, I had forgotten that there was no weapon upgrades in this game. It was just the same attacks from start to finish, and the fun factor wore off relatively quickly. Not to mention it became equally frustrating needing to use that hint of strategy to carefully slap an enemy officer around so he would not fall down and then replenish his health. It does have a sizable roster with the usual suspects, Cao Cao, Zhao Yun, Guan Yu, Liu Bei and Zhang Liao to name a few, but in total has a roster of 28 characters. I suppose you can say there's variation in combat to some aspect, but it's minimal. Keep in mind, Dynasty Warriors 4 came out at exactly the same console, and you could do much more. There are 2 modes in this game, the Muso modes, where you can play through the main campaign, and free mode, where you can replay unlocked levels and level up your characters. Your character has the support of bodyguards, and the game instigated the age-old question, is this an onion? It's a meat one, but it's an onion. When you defeat generals, you can pick up shields that raise your defense and swords which will raise your attack. And there are other special items such as the battle axe, which gives you double attack damage for 30 seconds, or battle armor that doubles your defense for 30 seconds. Then there's the Chinese wine that fills your Muso bar, allowing you to unleash a devastating special attack. Overall, it was nice to revisit this game, but it did grow tedious quite quickly. Would I put my PlayStation 2 under stress to play it again anytime soon? No. But now to discuss the main point of this retrospective, the original soundtrack. Brought on board to make the music for the games was a musician who's better known as Masa, his real name Sasaki Masayoshi. Originally from Kyushu, he moved to Tokyo and was a regular in the indie scene, hoping to become a big-time musician. As he became increasingly aware that his career wasn't going that way, he decided to pursue a career in composing video game music. He had never been part of any of Koei's IPs before, and was quite nervous and believed he was simply accepted due to his musical prowess, as opposed to his understanding of what the game was about. Masa has been vocal about anyone following his example of recruitment, calling himself a bad lead employee, and that people should not follow his example. For now, we'll leave the history lesson of Masa for the next review, but all I can say is that this musician changed how I looked at video game music, how I play guitar, and even how I compose my own music. For whatever negative feelings he may have about his journey, he brought endless joy and headbanging to many people. Masa brought a whole different style of music to the table, a mixture of rock and metal with a hint of electronic, and when you're in that character select stage with the track Rough Play, your head is bobbing and you're geared to go. Yeah, do it. And then we get to the math and it slaps you with the track Oppression, a heavy rhythmic piece that makes you pull all the metal faces. So how about the other tracks in the game? I'm going to list my top 6, but firstly I want to give my honourable mentions. We need to appreciate the shorts, such as In Conclusion. I absolutely love In Conclusion, and I loved how it would evolve throughout the series. There's a lot of emotion in such a small piece, and it literally sounds like you've lost someone close or dear. It's emotion conveyed through guitar, and it's perfect. Then we've got the Victory Jubilee, which much like the previous short has evolved through the games also. It's an upbeat yes, utterly memorable, and I honestly rank it up there with Final Fantasy's fanfare, if not higher.
This is brilliant. But I like this.
As for a full track for an honourable mention, it was really hard for me not to put this in my top 6, and it only just got nudged out. We have Power and Glory. The track really is like a driving force, a feeling of dismally pushing through the adversities of the battlefield for power and glory. If you were to take into consideration any normal soldier on the battlefield, whether it's 198 AD China or a soldier crossing no man's land, not many of them walk away with either, and most never walk away. At number 6 we have Killing Time. It's such a groovy track, real fun and upbeat. Kind of a paradox to the previous track, you just get this positive rush and it just amplifies the running around an open map and just fighting endless soldiers. It is a great track and well deserves the 6th place. At number 5 we have The Boundless Ground. It's probably one of the few tracks that has somewhat an Asian flair, something we'll talk about in the next review, and the lead guitar work is awesome, a fine blend of the bluesy leads that were a precursor for the blisteringly crazy leads we'll come to know and love in the future games. Absolutely awesome. number 4 we have Yellowstorm. I honestly would have loved to have placed this higher. I think my buddy Project Genesis said it best that this one pulled many into the series. It's a timeless track, great little hammer on, hammer off lead work over amazing rhythm guitars. Ask anyone to listen to this song and it will instantly bring back nostalgic PS2 vibes playing this game. As I said, if I could have placed this track higher, I would have. I mean, I loved it so much I even did a cover of it. At number 3 we have Gravity. I love how dark and mysterious this track is. The rhythm tone is awesome and the track overall gives a feeling of lost despair and struggle. It's not a lead heavy track by any means and the synth mixing with the rhythm guitars is insane. As a predominantly rhythm guitar player, this is a track I can get behind. Absolute beast of a track. At number 2 we have Jump Into the Battlefield. With the classic 80s style rhythms, this blistering track sets the mood for the Battle of Hulao Gate. The lead work is really tasteful, again setting the tone for the amazing bends that would be signature in the later game's soundtracks. The drums are also awesome in this, and overall it's a great track. Highly recommend. It wasn't easy to pick number 1 because re-listening to a lot of these tracks brought back so many memories, and then when I heard this one, well, let's get into it. Sacred Ground to me is the best track in this game. A fine blend of rhythm, synth and just an absolutely beautiful harmonised lead guitar attack. It's reminiscent of Iron Maiden and Avenged Sevenfold, two of my favourite bands. It personifies fighting through a tough battle, making that stand, regardless of whether it's your last or not, of being a Dynasty Warrior. It was a rare treat to go back to the game that started it off for me. Sure, it's slow, I can't flip up when I fall down, archers are a nightmare, combat is balls, but for the first ditch effort, it was great and 13-year-old me certainly enjoyed it. For the most part, it was nice to see where it started, and I could easily say that this is the beta to what would be the amazing step up that is Dynasty Warriors 3, which I'm looking forward to reviewing next. When it comes to the music, it opened a door for me. It was at this time I'd just started playing guitar, listening to the new metal of the time like Papa Roach, Linkin Park, Slipknot, Limp Bizkit. But as I started discovering older bands, in particular Iron Maiden, I began to find my sound. With the discovery of Massa's amazing music in Dynasty Warriors 2, I found my own style, my own happy place in the music world, especially on YouTube. Is it industry breaking? No. Has it won awards? No. But did it inspire me and other musicians? Absolutely. And in the grand scale of things, that's the greatest reward of all. So thank you Massa for the amazing music, and I can't wait to listen more as I continue to do these retrospectives. So what is your favourite track from this game? Do you agree with my list? Let me know in the comments what you think are the best tracks in the game. Thank you ever so much for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Check out my cover of Yellowstorm. Absolute plug there. Also check out the previous video if you want to learn a bit about Dynasty Warriors 1. And see you next time for Dynasty Warriors 3 and OST Retrospective. It is going to be an absolute banger. All the best and take care.